I suggested he check his offshore account. Marcus' hands were shaking as he logged in. The color drained from his face when he saw the balance. 0, 3 million gone. His business partner, Derek, stood frozen beside him, and for the first time in 23 years of friendship, I saw genuine fear in Derek's eyes. He knew that I knew, and most importantly, he knew that his mother, Helen, was about to walk into this room in exactly 90 seconds. Let me back up. This started 6 months ago at my son's birthday barbecue in our backyard in Denver. Marcus had just turned 35 and everything was going right for him. After 10 years of grinding in commercial real estate, he was finally launching his own development firm. His best friend since college, Derek Montgomery, was going to be his 50-50 partner. They'd signed a letter of intent. They'd secured their first major project, and they were 3 weeks away from making it official. I was proud. Marcus had worked hard, saved wisely, and now he was building something real. That Saturday afternoon, I was manning the grill when I realized I'd left my phone inside. I walked through the sliding door into the kitchen, heading for the counter where I'd left it. That's when I heard voices coming from the hallway bathroom. The door was cracked open about an inch. "Mother, I told you, we have to wait until after the contracts are signed." That was Derek. "I don't understand why you're dragging this out." A woman's voice. Sharp, impatient. Derek's mother, Helen. "Once you have access to the accounts, just transfer everything and we're done." "It's not that simple," Derek said. "Marcus isn't stupid. If money moves before the business is established, he'll notice, then make it look legitimate. Business expenses, equipment purchases. You told me you had this figured out." "I do. The offshore account is already set up. Once we have the company credit cards, once I'm on all the bank accounts as a co-signer, I'll start moving money incrementally. Small amounts at first. By the time he realizes what's happening, we'll have at least 2 million out and we'll be in the Caymans." My blood went cold. I stood there frozen, my hand still reaching for my phone. "And the property?" Helen asked. "Same plan. The warehouse project is in my name as the managing partner. Once we break ground and Marcus puts in his 3 million, I'll take out a second mortgage against his equity without his knowledge. That's another 2 million. Then I'll declare bankruptcy for the LLC, and he's left holding the debt. What about his father? Richard's not an idiot. Richard's retired. He's out of the game. And even if he suspects something, by the time he figures it out, we'll be gone. Marcus trusts me completely. We've been friends for over 20 years. He won't see it coming." Helen laughed. It was cold, calculating. "I raised you right. Your father never had the spine for this kind of thing. That's why we're still struggling while people like the Chens live in houses like this. After this, we won't be struggling anymore." Derek said 5 million split between us. No taxes, no trail. Marcus will be ruined, but that's business. That's survival. Helen corrected. "These people have had everything handed to them. Your friend included. It's time someone like us took our share." I heard footsteps. I grabbed my phone and quickly moved back outside, my mind racing. Marcus came over to me smiling, holding a beer. "Hey, Dad. Burger's almost ready." I looked at my son. He was happy, excited about his future, trusting his best friend completely, just like Derek said he would be. "Almost," I said, forcing a smile. "Hey, Marcus, can you come inside for a minute? Need your help with something." We went to my study. I closed the door. I told him everything I'd heard. Marcus sat down heavily in my leather chair. He looked at me like I'd just told him the sky was falling. "Dad, are you sure?" "Derek. My Derek. We've been best friends since sophomore year. He was my best man at my wedding. He's godfather to Emma. I know what I heard, son. But why? He's doing well. His firm is successful. Why would he risk everything to steal from me?" "I don't know his reasons," I said. "But I know what I heard. And I know we need to be smart about this. I should confront him right now." Marcus said, standing up. "I should." "No." I put my hand on his shoulder. "If you confront him now, he'll deny everything. He'll say, 'I misheard,' or 'I'm trying to sabotage your partnership because I don't trust him.' You'll be left wondering who to believe. And if he's really planning this, he'll just get more careful. Then what do we do?" I thought about it for a moment. I'd spent 30 years in commercial real estate before I retired. I'd seen partnerships go bad. I'd seen fraud. I'd seen good people destroyed by people they trusted. But I'd also seen clever people protect themselves. We let him think everything's going according to his plan, I said, but we document everything. We build a case, and when the time is right, we don't just stop him. We make sure he can never do this to anyone else. Marcus looked at me for a long moment. Then he nodded. Okay, Dad, tell me what to do. The next day, I called an old friend of mine, Patricia Wong. She'd been a forensic accountant for 30 years before retiring. I took her to lunch at her favorite Vietnamese place in Westminster and laid out the situation. You need 3 things, Patricia said, sipping her coffee. Documentation, legal protection, and leverage in that order. Walk me through it. First, Marcus needs to hire a lawyer immediately. Not a business lawyer, a criminal defense attorney who specializes in fraud. He needs to document the conversation you overheard in a sworn affidavit today. That establishes timeline and intent. Done. What else? Second, you need to record everything going forward. Colorado is a one-party consent state for recording. If Marcus is part of any conversation with Derek, he can legally record it. Buy him a good digital recorder. Have him keep it on him at all times. I pulled out my phone and ordered one on Amazon right there at the table. Third, Patricia continued, you need to set up a trap, but it has to be subtle. You need to give Derek enough rope to hang himself, but not so much that he actually succeeds in stealing everything. How do we do that? Patricia smiled. It was the same smile she used to give me 30 years ago when she'd caught someone cooking the books. You create a fake opportunity that's too good for him to resist. You make him move faster than he planned. Rushed people make mistakes. Over the next 2 weeks, Marcus and I put together our plan. Marcus hired Thomas Brennan, a former prosecutor who now specialized in white-collar crime. We gave him sworn statements. He advised us to involve the FBI, but I asked him to wait. I wanted to be absolutely certain of what we were dealing with. Marcus created a new bank account at a different bank and moved most of his liquid assets there. He left exactly $3 million in the account that Derek would have access to once the partnership was official. That was our bait. Then we planted the first seed. Marcus took Derek to lunch at the Nickel, a downtown spot where they'd been meeting for years. He had his recorder in his jacket pocket. Hey, I've got some good news, Marcus said, making sure his voice was clear. My dad's college friend just sold his company. He's looking to invest in something solid. I pitched him our warehouse project. Yeah, Derek said. I could hear the interest in his voice, even through the recording. He's willing to put in $2 million as a silent partner. Doesn't want any operational control, just wants a return on investment. It would mean we could break ground 3 months earlier than planned. That's great, Derek said. There was a pause. When would the money come in? He wants to transfer it the same day we officially form the LLC. He's old school. Wants everything done at once. I told him that works for us, right? Absolutely, Derek said. The sooner we can get started, the better. That night Marcus called me. He took the bait. Dad. I could hear it in his voice. He's already calculating how much extra he can steal. Good, I said. Now we wait for him to make his move. It took 3 days. Marcus got a call from Derek asking to meet for drinks. Marcus recorded that too. Listen about this investor of your dad's. Derek said, I think we should set up a separate account for that $2 million. Keep it clean, separate from our operational funds. Why? Marcus asked, playing dumb, just good bookkeeping. If it's a separate investment, we should track it separately. I actually know a guy who can set up an offshore account. Completely legal, but it helps with tax optimization. We could save maybe 20% on the tax burden. There it was. Derek was trying to get Marcus to willingly set up an offshore account that Derek would have access to. Once that money went offshore, it would disappear. I don't know, Marcus said. Offshore sounds complicated. Maybe we should just use our regular business account. Trust me, Derek said, and I could hear him leaning in. I've done this before with my other properties. It's completely legal, and it'll save us both a lot of money. I'll handle all the paperwork. You won't have to do anything. Okay, Marcus said, if you think it's best. When Marcus played me that recording, I felt anger surge through me. This wasn't just theft. Derek was manipulating my son's trust, using their friendship as a weapon. But I kept my voice calm. Perfect, I said. Now he's committing to his plan on tape. Let's give him exactly what he wants. Patricia helped us set up a completely fake offshore account. It looked real. It had real banking documentation, but it was actually controlled by a corporate trustee that Patricia knew, and every transaction would require dual authorization. Derek could put money in, but he couldn't take it out without Marcus' explicit approval. Meanwhile, Thomas Brennan, our attorney, had been doing his own digging. He came back with some interesting information. Derek's mother, Helen Montgomery, has significant debts, Thomas said, showing us documents, credit cards, personal loans, and a second mortgage. She's about 4 months from bankruptcy. She's also been involved in 2 previous lawsuits related to business disputes. Both times, the other parties claimed she'd misrepresented financial information. So, this isn't her first rodeo. I said, no, and I'd bet money that she's the one driving this whole scheme. Derek might have gone along with it, but this feels like her plan. Can we prove that? Marcus asked. Not yet, but if we can record her discussing the details, or if Derek implicates her in a recording, we'd have conspiracy charges. I thought about this. We need to get them talking together on record. How? Marcus asked. I smiled. We give them a reason to celebrate. We give them the impression that they've already won. 3 weeks later, we held the official LLC formation ceremony. Thomas had prepared all the documents. Everything looked legitimate. Marcus and Derek signed the partnership agreement. They signed the bank authorization forms. They toasted with champagne. Marcus even gave a speech about friendship and trust that made me want to throw my glass at Derek's head. But I stayed calm. This was the performance. The real show was coming. As soon as Derek had authorized access to the accounts, he started moving. We were watching every transaction through Patricia's monitoring setup. First, it was small amounts, 5,000 here, 8,000 there, business expenses, equipment deposits, contractor advances. Then, exactly as he'd promised his mother, he got bolder. A 50,000 transfer to the offshore account. Another 75,000. Marcus pretended not to notice. Derek called Marcus 2 weeks after the signing. Hey, we need to meet something important. They met at Derek's office. Marcus had his recorder. I need you to sign this, Derek said, sliding papers across the desk. It's a refinancing agreement for the warehouse property. We can get better terms. Marcus looked at the document. It was actually a second mortgage agreement that would allow Derek to borrow against Marcus' equity without further authorization. If Marcus signed this, Derek could drain another $2 million and leave Marcus holding the debt. This looks complicated, Marcus said. Can I have my lawyer review it? It's standard stuff, Derek said. His voice had an edge now. We need to move fast on this. The rate lock expires in 48 hours. Just sign it. I don't know, Derek. My dad always taught me never to sign something without understanding it completely. Your dad's retired, Derek said, and now the mask was slipping. This is business. You want to be successful, or you want to be like him, living in the past. Marcus stood up. I'll get back to you tomorrow. He walked out. That night, we listened to the recording together. He's getting desperate, Thomas said. The timeline must be accelerating, probably pressure from his mother. How much has he stolen so far? I asked. Patricia checked her laptop. 143,000 in fraudulent transfers, all documented. Plus, he's attempted to commit further fraud with that second mortgage document. Is that enough? Marcus asked. Thomas nodded. More than enough for criminal charges, wire fraud, embezzlement, attempted theft, and conspiracy. If we can prove his mother's involvement, he's looking at 10 to 20 years. Then it's time, I said. But I wanted one more piece. I wanted Helen. I called Derek the next day from Marcus' phone. Derek, it's Richard. Marcus told me about the refinancing opportunity. Can we meet? I'd like to understand it better. Maybe I can help convince Marcus. Derek hesitated, then agreed. We met at a coffee shop in Cherry Creek. I wore a wire. Patricia and Thomas were in a van outside. Derek went through his pitch. It sounded legitimate. He was good at this, but I knew what to listen for. You know, Derek, I've been in this business a long time, I said. This deal you're describing, it's clever. Really clever. Almost too clever. What do you mean? I mean, if someone wanted to extract equity from a property without their partner's knowledge, this is exactly how they do it. Sign the papers, get the loan, disappear with the money. Partners left holding the debt. Derek's face went pale. Richard, I would never save it, I said quietly. I know about the offshore account. I know about the transfers. I know you've been stealing from my son for 3 weeks. Derek stood up. You can't prove anything. Actually, we can. Every transaction is documented. Every conversation is recorded, including this one. I showed him the wire under my shirt. You're done, Derek. The only question now is whether your mother goes down with you. His face went from pale to gray. My mother. She has nothing to do with this. Really? Because I was standing outside my bathroom 6 months ago when you and Helen planned this whole thing. I heard every word, and I've been building a case against both of you ever since. Derek sat back down. He looked defeated. What do you want? I want you to call your mother right now. I want you to tell her that everything's ready, that we're signing the final papers tomorrow. I want her to come to that meeting, and I want her to be part of the conversation when we expose what you've done. Why? Because she's the real criminal here. I said, you're just weak. She's the one who taught you that it's okay to steal from friends, that it's okay to destroy someone's life for money, and I want her to face the consequences. Derek stared at me for a long moment. Then slowly, he pulled out his phone. The next day, we held a meeting at Marcus's lawyer's office. Derek came in looking like he hadn't slept. Helen came in looking confident, almost smug. She thought they were about to close the deal and disappear with millions. Marcus, Thomas, Patricia, and I were already there. Also present, 2 FBI agents. What's going on? Helen demanded, seeing the agents. Please sit down, Mrs. Montgomery, Thomas said. This is going to take a while. We laid it all out. The recordings, the financial documents, the attempted fraud, the conspiracy. Derek sat there silent, staring at the table. Helen tried to talk her way out of it at first, then tried to blame Derek, then finally just sat there in furious silence. Here's what's going to happen, Thomas said. Derek, you're going to return every dollar you've stolen. You're going to sign a confession. You're going to cooperate fully with federal investigators, and in exchange will recommend a reduced sentence, maybe 5 years instead of 15. And my mother, your mother, will face separate charges for conspiracy and fraud. That's not negotiable, Helen exploded. You can't do this. We'll fight this. Well, you'll lose, I said quietly. We have 6 months of documentation. We have recordings. We have witnesses. You plan to destroy my son's life, steal his money, and leave him in debt. You taught your son that friendship means nothing, that trust is just a weakness to exploit. So, yes, Mrs. Montgomery, we absolutely can do this, and we will. The FBI agent stood up. Mrs. Montgomery, Derek Montgomery, you're both under arrest. As they were being led out in handcuffs, Derek looked back at Marcus. I'm sorry, he said. I'm really sorry. Marcus didn't respond. He just watched them go. After they left, Marcus turned to me. Dad, I need to tell you something. What? I knew not at first, but about 3 months ago, I overheard Derek on a phone call with his mother. I heard enough to know what they were planning. I stared at my son. Why didn't you tell me? Because you were already doing everything right. You had the plan. You had the team. You were building the case. I figured if I told you I knew, you might change your approach. And honestly, Dad, I wanted to learn from you. I wanted to see how you handled something like this. Marcus smiled a little. You taught me something important. It's not enough to just stop bad people. You have to build a case so strong they can't come back. You have to think 3 steps ahead. And you have to stay calm even when you want to tear someone apart. I looked at my son. He wasn't the trusting kid I'd worried about 6 months ago. He'd learned to protect himself, to think strategically, to trust but verify. You played me, I said. I learned from the best, Marcus said. Patricia laughed. Like father, like son. A week later, I was having coffee with Patricia at her favorite spot again. Derek took a plea deal, she said. 5 years, full restitution, cooperating witness against his mother. Helen's going to trial. Her lawyers claiming she was just giving advice, not actively participating in fraud. Will that work? Not with the recordings. She's looking at 7 to 10 years minimum. I sipped my coffee. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt tired. Part of me wonders if we went too far. If we could have just warned Derek off, scared him straight. You did scare him straight, Patricia said. Right into a prison cell. Look, Richard, I know you're second-doing this, but here's what you need to remember. Derek didn't steal from Marcus once and feel guilty. He stole repeatedly, systematically for weeks. He tried to get Marcus to sign documents that would have ruined him financially. And his mother, she's the one who taught him that this was acceptable. If you'd just warned them off, they would have done this to someone else, someone who didn't have a father looking out for them. I know. I just keep thinking about Marcus, about whether this experience damaged him somehow, made him cynical. It made him smart. Patricia said, "There's a difference. Being cynical means you trust no one. Being smart means you trust people, but you verify. You gave your son tools to protect himself. That's not damage. That's education." The trial took 8 months. Helen Montgomery was convicted on 5 counts of conspiracy to commit fraud and 2 counts of attempted theft. She got 9 years. Derek served his 5 years. And last I heard, he's working as an accountant in Missouri. He's not allowed to hold any fiduciary positions. Marcus' business, it's thriving. He found a different partner, a woman named Sarah Chen, who came with references, credentials, and most importantly, a clean background check. They've developed 3 properties in the last 4 years and have 2 more in the works. Last month, Marcus came over for dinner. His daughter, Emma, now 10 years old, was telling me about her math class. After dinner, Marcus and I were cleaning up in the kitchen. "You know, Dad, I never thanked you properly for what you did. You don't need to thank me. I'm your father. That's what fathers do. No, I mean, really, you didn't just save my business. You taught me how to protect myself, how to think strategically, how to be patient when you want to react. Those lessons have been worth more than the 3 million Derek tried to steal." I put my hand on his shoulder. "Just promise me something." "What?" "If your kids ever get into business, if someone ever tries to take advantage of them, you'll do the same thing. You'll teach them to protect themselves. You'll show them that being kind doesn't mean being weak, and trusting people doesn't mean being naive." Marcus smiled, already planning on it. "Emma's pretty sharp. I think she's got the instincts for this." "She does. She's her father's daughter." Later that night, after Marcus and Emma left, I was sitting on my back porch with a glass of whiskey. My wife Sarah joined me. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah, just thinking about the last few years, about Derek and Helen, about Marcus. Do you regret how you handled it?" I thought about it for a long moment. "No, I don't. Could we have done it differently? Maybe. Could we have been more forgiving? Possibly. But at the end of the day, I protected my son. I taught him to protect himself, and I made sure Derek and Helen couldn't do this to anyone else. That's what I needed to do." Sarah squeezed my hand. "You're a good father, Richard." "I try to be. That's all any of us can do. Try to be there for our kids when they need us, even if they don't know they need us." I looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Derek was living a quiet life, probably still dealing with the shame of what he'd done. Helen was in a federal prison, probably still bitter about getting caught. But my son was safe. He was successful. He'd learned lessons that would protect him for the rest of his life, and that I thought was worth